one of the unique parts of the Qmindfit is the flashing lights in the eyes. So when people ask, why do we have flashing lights in the eyes? Well, number one, because we are very visual as a people. Some people actually can't hear someone unless they have eye contact with them or they have line of sight with them. So it's almost like out of sight, out of mind. So what we've done with the Qmindfit is we're using frequencies of light to generate balance in the hemispheres of the brain. And with that balancing of the hemispheres, what's going on there is we're balancing out what's going on with the right brain and the left brain, let's say, or the left brain and the right brain, however that works. And by doing that, with light, we're actually keeping the frontal cortex. Now, why is that important? When we go into stress, our frontal cortex, our executive thinking centers of the brain, actually shut down. So what we want to do with the Qmindfit is we're keeping their frontal cortex, that part of the brain that actually is able to make executive functions, make decisions, problem solve, we're keeping that awake. So by keeping that awake with the lights, then we use sound. So there's 3 different sound technologies that are going on with the Qmindfit system. Number one, we have what's called binaurals. Now, if you're not familiar with what binaurals are, binaurals actually, the brain is actually synchronizing to the sound in your environment right now. As you listen to me on the computer, your brain is having to interpret what I'm saying, and it's doing that, and it knows it's coming from the computer screen because the brain is balancing that information internally. So what we do with binaurals is we're going to send in one signal in one side of the head and another signal into the other. Let's say we want to get you into 10 cycles. 10 cycles is alpha. So there's 4 primary brainwave patterns, and as we're speaking now, it's called beta. But alpha and theta are those healing states we were just talking about, and delta is sleep. So I'm going to have to put a 300 hertz frequency in one ear and a 310 hertz frequency in the other to get a 10 hertz frequency, which is the frequency of alpha. That's a relaxing frequency. Now, we don't just send a 10 hertz frequency into the brain because the brain would just cancel it out. So we have to do one that's a little different on each side of the brain. Now, within the Qmindfit system, as they listen to each session, which means all 500 sessions that we have in the Q Science streaming program, each of those sessions has a different encoding, which means it's going to take somebody from being, wide awake where we are right now, down into deep sleep. So by doing that, what's happening there is the brain is learning to become flexible. And what they call it in science, neuroplasticity. The brain is learning how to be flexible in stressful situations. So part of what we need to do here with the Qmindfit is each time we listen to a different session. That's where the Q streaming comes in. So you have the hardware on one end, which is the lights that go in the eyes, the lights that go in the ears. Now, along with the sound that you're hearing, there's a message. So whether it's listening to the GoPro series to become a professional multi-level marketer or the stress series, you're going to listen to that at the same time with the Qmindfit system. Now, within the, we also have lights in the ears. If you haven't, is there anyone on the call that hasn't experienced the Qmindfit yet, or is that what we're going to be doing when we go over there? I don't know if somebody has a question, because maybe I should have had one here on the call so you could see it. But do you know if they've seen the Qmindfit or if they've?
Dr. Porter, I know that Frank and Elizabeth have one, but most haven't tried it yet. So okay. This will be a really cool thing. There's several that when they flew to Salt Lake City into Utah tried it, and I'm pretty sure Frank and Elizabeth have one also. So yeah, this is going to be exciting, great thing. And also the Qmindfit is with getting certified in Europe, it'll be the Qmindfit and then also the Cellucizer for the registration. So
great.
Big deal for us, yeah.
Okay, so in the process here of what we're doing here in this call is to just explain. Now, what I'm explaining here, even though I've only spent a few minutes doing it, it can be a little bit over somebody's head. So as a IBO, you might go, well, how can I explain it like that? So when I talk about the program and things like that, I actually do the session. So what we call, somebody just asked the question, what is SMT? SMT stands for Self-Mastery Technology. So when somebody asks you, what is the Qmindfit doing? Well, it's actually helping them to master themselves. So let's talk about stress. We can't avoid stress. We can't eliminate stress. It's going to come at us no matter who we are. The richest in the world have stress. The poorest in the world have stress. It's just a different level of stress. So what we can do with the Qmindfit is manage that level of stress so it's not affecting us physically, because stress can make us sick. That's what happens. In fact, they say 97% of all illness stems from an excess of stress in the body, or stress causes that illness. So when we explain that to somebody, now what I was getting to earlier was that when you explain this to somebody, the easiest way to explain the Qmindfit is just, you know what, I'm using this to relax, to rejuvenate, to help me grow my Qmindfit business or my Q Sciences business. What I'd like you to do is listen to a 10-minute session that Dr. Porter did. I did a 10-minute session where I explained the science that is behind this. So as people listen, what they're going to experience, and maybe you listen to this one or not, but I'm going to explain what the lights are for, what the sound's for, why they need to do it multiple times to get the results they want, and then also how they can use it with their family and their friends. Some people do this as a home party. So if you're looking for a way to bring people to your home to tell them about the opportunity of Q Sciences, this is a great way. When you own a Qmindfit, you can hold a meeting, and then while somebody's doing the Qmindfit session, you can have another person doing the Cellicizer. You can be doing a product demonstration with the Empowerment Plus. It all can work together in an environment like that. So in as far as we're talking about what the program does, when you think about somebody within the brainwave technology and what we're doing, there's actually 5 main programs that we tell people to go out there and market, because there's so many different programs you can get overwhelmed. We all have friends that are overweight. Now, we can't just go to them and say, hey, you know, you're fat. We need you to do the MindFit. So what we can do is have them do a session and then let them discover those sessions on their own. If you know someone that smokes that wants to get rid of the cigarettes, we have a program for stopping smoking. We have, of course, the program for stress. We have programs for if you know somebody who's pregnant. We have a program for stress-free childbirth. I mean, there's all sorts of different programs. There's actually about 35 different programs in the Q Sciences library that you can go to and use with family, friends, and coworkers. So I don't know, Corbin, if you want to open it up to questions. Oh, here we go. There's another question that says, why are there no sessions just with music? There are sessions just with music. When you go to the set, there's a folder called Neurosensory Algorithms. And then there's probably 25 different sessions that are just music only. So they are on there, and you can listen to those as well. You know, so.
Perfect. Hey, Dr. Porter, maybe you can describe some of the other sessions. I mean, there's quite a wide variety, but maybe you can list off some of the others. And then we'll come to that next question. How does the light affect the brain? But, you know, I know there's quite a few, even some targeted towards multi-level, developing your business, things like that. But what are some other subjects that you have?
Okay. Well, first of all, just so you know, we do have the 6 sessions we did just for Q Sciences that is based on the GoPro book and the Quick Start Guide in Q Sciences. So we strongly recommend that anyone who is starting the business do those sessions. And then we have the Qmindfit programs that we're doing every Monday. We're up to week 13, and next week we'll be at week 14. So there's going to be 26 weeks that are just teaching people about the brain and what's going on. We have a program. We had done some research with some pilots, so it really works with jet lag and recovery. So when you think about things that are going on, we call it the Blue Sky series. We have a program for pain control. So if somebody's experiencing abnormal pain, they can use that and it can help them. We have the Better Sleep series, which helps people who have insomnia and things like that to sleep through the night. This is one of the things, as you're thinking about how to introduce this to people, in the United States anyway, I'm not sure what it's like in your country, but in the United States, 1 out of 6 people here have a problem with sleeping. So that's a big one for us. It's not going to work for everyone, but pretty much 90% of the people are going to have a better night's sleep, even from that very first time they get on it. We have when you think about if somebody says, well, I want to improve my golf game, or they play basketball or other sports, we have a Sports Zone series. We have a specific series for golf, for basketball. We're actually working on a series for soccer because people have requested it, and we're working with a big center in Kansas City to put that together. So one thing too is that we're always coming out with new programs, and if they're all based upon a learning series. So when you listen to one, then you listen to the next one. The next one, they're teaching you about your brain. So if we did that answer your question, Corbin?
Yeah. And so my son, just depends on what people are wanting to improve on. My family uses the sleep frequently, just to give I have a 2-year-old. I try and have him listen to that too, so he'll sleep better.
Okay.
Plus sleep spray and everything else.
Yeah.
But my 9-year-old's really focused on sports, so he's doing golf and the football, different training, things like that. I have a 15-year-old that social skills, coping with stress, and so what I realize with this program is there's a wide variety of people that can utilize it and really benefit from that. And maybe you can describe when is typically a time when people will do sessions. Is the sleep right before you go to bed, or it can be? I know that Dr. Weeks will do several during the day. It's like taking a 20-minute nap, for him. So maybe you can
there's 3 primary times people will listen, but you can listen any time that it works for you. But there's the morning sessions, which are geared to re-engage the brain and get you to have more alpha and beta, so you have energy through the day. Those are the ones that you get when you buy the Qmindfits that say AM. And we're developing some new 10-minute programs too to put in there because people have requested more morning sessions. Probably the time that most people listen is whether they come home from work or they're working in the afternoon, because they like in our office, it's pretty dead in the middle of the day. So we'll go ahead and we have a room set up and we do a session at that time. We have people that do it right before bed, but there's probably about 20% of the people, if they do a session right before bed, the brain actually thinks they had a whole night's sleep. So It's something you got to test, because our brains are used to only a certain amount of sleep. And if you trigger that amount of sleep in a 20-minute session with the Qmindfit, the brain's not going to go back to sleep, or it's going to find it difficult. So most people don't have a problem with that. Now, if you have a student, like students doing learning, we find that it's best if they're stressed out or tired to have them do it before they learn. But we actually find it's best if after they've done their studying, when their brain is stressed because they just had to do their homework or whatever, then have them do a session after that. And this has been proven to work. The phenomenal things it does is improve memory. So whether it's the elder population that wants to keep their memories and focus, or it's something that or if it's a child learning in the classroom environment, those are the 2 things that I think it does the best. And then secondary to that is sleeping better. So all programs will work on those areas, even though we're talking about other things, because once the brain gets tuned up, it's kind of like taking the Empowerment Plus Q96. You thought it was just going to help your brain, but then you find it helps your whole health, because the body's a system. So as you help each part of the system, the body improves.
Now, Alexander had a question that says, how does the light affect the brain?
Well, what's happening there, if we had you on the Qmindfit and we had an EEG, which is going to measure the electrical activity in the brain, what it's going to happen is it's going to trigger the brain to stay in the different brainwave frequencies. So the light is what keeps you awake. Believe it or not, we don't want people to fall asleep. Even though somebody doing a Qmindfit session looks like they're sleeping, they're really tracking, your brain is tracking the light with the sound together. Now, both will work separately. So we've put them together through the computer. So as the computerized program takes you in and out of the state near sleep and back, what it's doing is it's telling the brain learns through something, a science called frequency following response. So the light is actually affecting the brain by getting the brain to match that frequency. Just like, to give you an example, Alexander, when you go to a beach or you go near the ocean, you just naturally relax. And that's because of a few different effects. The main effect is that the planet at that point is resonating at about 10 cycles, which happens to be alpha. If you go into a big city and there's honking and busy, then your brain is operating at high beta, and that's your brain matching that. And it's doing it through light. Just like if we were to, the reason somebody has jet lag is they're not getting the right light to their brain. When a pilot flies across 7 time zones, which is one of the studies we did, their brain doesn't have time to process the light. So we're actually using blue light because obviously we have blue skies, and they know that blue light resets the melatonin in the brain. That's why it's like a cycle of sleep. And that's also why, if you listen at night, some people, we've triggered too much so the brain thinks that it has enough light to stay awake.
Wonderful. And then Gabriella had another, so is there an actual, for the sessions, is there's sessions with just music, right?
Yes, there's a folder called Neurosensory Algorithms.
Okay.
In essay.
Okay, so it's called, can you just repeat that again?
Neurosensory Algorithms.
Okay.
And it should be a main category when you log into the Qmindfit streaming site. You scroll down to the end and you'll see it there. And those are all music only.
Okay. Now, when you come to Europe, you'll be bringing the Qmindfit. Will you be bringing the other apparatuses to record, or is that hard to travel with your other?
Oh no, we'll be able to do tests, so you can see. We actually did a study here recently with we have a spa here in New Bern, and we took 50 of our members and we measured the pre and post, what happens when somebody gets on the MindFit. And what we found was, even after just a 20-minute session, they had a 33% improvement generally overall. And then within a month's time, their baselines went up by 20%, which meant they're no longer functioning where they had to improve it by 36%. Their body just functioned in life because the brain learned to operate at a higher frequency, and the body responded by keeping the nervous system online.
Perfect. Wonderful.
So we'll have that equipment with us, and if you
awesome.
want to come by.
I wasn't sure what you were going to be able to bring with you, so that'll be fantastic that you'll be able to do that. And there's still questions on the audio, so we may get Gabriella's just email, and you might be able to communicate with her.
What I'll do when we get off the call here, I'll check it out myself. If it's not on there right now, then it will be by the end of the day. I mean, it's probably just something happened, a glitch in.
So Gabriella, we'll check that out for sure. So, and maybe you can give a little bit more background of the current clinicians that are, because this is good information for our team to know. Current clinicians, how many clinicians do you have actually utilizing this in their practices, so forth, and kind of the scope of the actual apparatus that you're using, the Qmindfit? Right.
Well, in the United States alone, we have about 970 locations, clinics using it. In Europe right now, there's probably, they're all based in London typically. We have about 36 chiropractors using it, different offices there. And we have, I think it's up to about 47 clinics in New Zealand and Australia. We're in 40 different countries.
Yeah, awesome.
And mainly because I'm also the dean of mind-based medicine out of Quantum University, that's out of Hawaii. So when our students are all over the world, so once they graduate with their licensing, which is in natural medicine, this happens to be one of their therapies that they use there. Now, the upside is, when you're thinking about, most of these clinicians will charge anywhere between $30 to $100 per session. We have one doctor in St. Louis, just to give you an idea of what the possibilities are. We have one doctor, he's going to make $1 million this year just doing Qmindfit sessions, just doing sessions.
How much does he charge?
He sells it by a membership.
Oh.
He sells a membership in his clinic for $49 a month. They can come in once a week. $79 a month, they can come in twice a week. And one of the things about Q Science is we've given you a license to be able to do that if you want. So you can actually have home parties and charge $10 a ride. And we've had people do trade shows where they charge $10 to take a ride on the equipment. Typically, when I go, I don't charge. It's because I want them to buy the piece of equipment. Yeah. But if you're a massage therapist or a licensed practitioner, you can include this into your practice as a stress reduction tool. And those are also people you could go out and talk to. I've written about 8 books, and you can find them on Amazon over in the UK as well. So if you look those books up, and you had a book that I've written, there's one called Your Flourishing Brain, and you went into a professional's office and you had them read that book, chances are pretty high they're going to buy the equipment because of the science is in there, and it talks about the benefits that their patients will get, especially if they're alternative medicine kind of doctors.
Okay, so I'm going to write that and send that. It's called Your Flourishing Brain.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let me just write that, guys, and Your Flourishing Brain by Dr. Porter. Okay, perfect. Another question is, will Qmindfit work with any other music, for instance, meta music?
No, it has to be encoded to work. Every session of ours has a special encoding that makes the lights, because it's synchronized. So
yeah, it's synchronized, right? Yeah, you couldn't plug in your own playlist. It wouldn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you know the people that own that music, we're always looking for more content.
Yeah.
You know, if you know them and they're interested in putting it on there, we pay a royalty for anybody who shares their music. So I'm not
awesome.
opposed to having as much as possible. So we can, you know, we're adding a whole, right now we're adding Italian, German, and French are being added every day.
Yeah,
so
you're talking languages, right?
Different languages, yeah.
Oh, great.
But we will also add more music. There's a gentleman by the name of Alexander. In fact, we can look on the app and see if there's a folder called Alexander, because those are also music only. He's a musician out of Sedona, Arizona.
Okay, perfect. And then to get on the Monday training, that gets sent out weekly. That's a call that you get on, correct?
Yes.
I just instantly jump on, so I haven't paid that close of attention, but.
Yeah, and then also with that call, you can, once it's done, if you have the app, we post those to the app. If you go into the Q Exclusives right now, eventually what will happen is the Q Sciences app is actually going to deliver the content every week. So what will happen in the future, because we're doing these live right now, but once they're done, if somebody joins today, every week they'll be delivered a new video and a new audio and a new PDF. And it'll be done through the app.
And that's available to an IBO as soon as they join, right? Or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
As soon as you join as a Q Science IBO.
Right. And if you want to look at the last 13 that we did from the back office at Q Sciences, there's a link, a folder for the Qmindfit. Okay. And they have a link to the past lessons, the past videos. But eventually they'll be available just on the app itself, but they're not there right now.
Okay, perfect. Is there, do you want to, are you okay if they shoot you emails with questions? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, you could do that.
Do you want to type in your email address?
Sure.
I'm just thinking if they have questions before you come over, so you can just, if you select all at the top.
Oh, I have to select all? Yeah, it's on all right now.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect. We got it. drpositive@gmail.com. Okay, wonderful. Is there any other questions for Dr. Porter at this point?
Let me address the one question that Gabriella has.
Okay.
The reason that it flashes at the front is that's the system saying the system checks out. So it's like when you turn it on, the lights will flash once, and then it's ready to start our session. Ours are encoded with a program called Audio Strobe. So that program sends the signal. It's embedded in the MP3 file. So unless it's an Audio Strobe encoded session, then it won't play on the Qmindfit.
Okay, perfect.
Which we license to people. So they usually it'll be available through, if we have it, it'll be available through the Qmindfit app.
Okay, excellent. Well, you know, I want to say how grateful that we are for Dr. Porter to be on our call today. I'm so grateful for everybody that's on today and the countries that you represent in Europe and Australia. We're super excited to have Dr. Porter taking time to head over to Europe, because we know this is going to be a huge thing for our team and for Europe in general. So please take good care of him when he's over there. It's going to be very exciting. Next week we will be having our, and just let all your new team members know, our meeting will always be at 11:30 Utah time, but at 7:30, I just always reference Amsterdam because that's how we originally set it up. So according to your time zone, but that will always be at 11:30. We'll continue our training. I think we're on to our 9th training so far since we really started to get going, and things have been growing so well. We have new IBOs every day. We have those achieving silver and rank of gold, and we have our October conference in Vegas, which we'd love to see everybody there, and gives you a good reason to come to Las Vegas and enjoy the sights, scenery, Las Vegas, and some excellent training, which Dr. Porter will be there too for that. So, but you're going to have him firsthand. I know we have David Hall and the Cellucides are going to be coming over too, and then of course Angel seems to be over there weekly now as we're getting all the product taken care of and to you guys, and we appreciate all that your patience with that. Dr. Porter, do you have anything else that you'd like to say to the group?
Just that I look forward to meeting each of you. If you can get out to one of the events that I'm doing, I'd love to be there and answer any questions you have, and just be a part of the community over there and get it rolling.
Awesome. So we'll see you guys all next week, next Thursday, and we'll send out an email the next training. Most likely we'll be back onto the comp plan training with Derek again. If there's any other needs that you have, please email or talk to your upline, Frank, Elizabeth, Tony, Trusty, and make sure they get that so we can make sure you guys are getting all the training that you guys need. Otherwise, and then I will also, the recordings I'm starting to post onto my YouTube channel. It's just under Corbin Matthews. And we did have last week's on there with Joe Milling, which is great, and I'll get this one posted on there as well. And then I'm working on getting Tony Steffen's also on there so that you guys can just go to that YouTube channel and rewatch the recordings. So with that, we're going to sign off, and we'll see you. And thanks again for taking your time, Dr. Porter, and travel safe.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to seeing you all.
Okay, bye. Goodbye now. See if I can end it for us all here.